Welcome back to The Hard Truth with TMJ News. I'm Zainabrights. Today we have a special guest joining us at the studio. Not long ago, TMJ News reported on 7 top North American surgeons who traveled to Gaza on a dangerous medical mission. Adam Fahs, a trauma surgeon from Michigan, USA, is joining us here to share his story about his journey and what he witnessed there as an American surgeon going to Gazan hospitals. Welcome, Adam.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for having me.
Wa alaikum salam. So, you've gone to this dangerous journey and you're back with us here safely, alhamdulillah. But let's talk a bit about your journey before, leading up to all this. You're a trauma surgeon, you're a father of 3 children. What were you feeling as you'd seen these scenes unfold since October 7th on social media, on mainstream media? How were you feeling as a trauma surgeon witnessing all of these injuries and what was unfolding in Gaza?
Yeah. It's terrible what's happening to the Palestinian people. They're suffering. Even from what I witnessed, it's beyond what you would imagine, before going there. It's hard for us to really understand or imagine what they're going through because we've never been through something like this ourselves. We're lucky that we live here in the States and that we're protected and we're safe. And so we can't even think about the things that they're dealing with, the sanitation issues, the fear, the terror, all that stuff. And so you're leading up to this, you're constantly on your phone checking for updates, seeing what's happening, and your heart is just torn apart by like the terror that you're witnessing. And you want to help, you want to do what you can. And I feel like we try to give money, you don't know how money's going to get there. And every part of you is just itching to do something to help the Palestinian people. And so when I had the opportunity, I knew that I had to go.
And so at this time, were you feeling like, you can give something to these people? Did you feel like you could help them?
I'll be honest, I didn't know what to expect. I just knew that I had the opportunity to go and I couldn't say no. I had put my name in a bunch of different WhatsApp groups for doctors willing to help.
Mm-hmm.
And someone just out of the blue sent me a message saying, we're leaving in a week and a half or so. If you can get all this paperwork done, if you can get your stuff ready, we're looking for a trauma surgeon to join us. And just the way the timing of events and the sequence of things, I knew that this was something that I had to do.
So now you're getting your paperwork in order. What's going through your mind? You're probably, are you consulting your family, your wife at this point?
I had to tell my wife for sure. I actually didn't want to tell anyone else that I was going. I wanted to keep my intentions as pure as possible. I knew that if I was going to go, people were either going to praise me or try to talk me out of it. And again, I wanted my intentions to be pure. I wanted to go for the sake of God, to help the Gazan people and do what I could. Even if it was cleaning something, if I could go just to offer some assistance, just to alleviate any little bit of pain, struggle, difficulty, I felt like that was a gift from God that I would be able to do that. So there's a lot of uncertainty, and we were having Zoom meetings leading up to it, and the leader of the group was saying, I can't make promises, like these are the dates we're expecting to go and come back. We can't guarantee. We don't know what's going to happen at the border. We don't know what's going to happen at the checkpoints. So, yeah,
at this point, you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You put your paperwork in order, you tell your wife, and then what happens?
Yeah, so I guess the bigger story of my willingness to go is I had a Ziyara trip planned for 6 months with my son and I. And so we had set it up in the summertime. So
to Iraq?
To Iraq,
okay.
Yeah. So I had time scheduled off of work. I had canceled my clinics. Everything was set up at work for me to be gone for 2 weeks. And when this opportunity kind of fell in my lap, I felt that this was like a test from God saying, you've been talking a lot that you wanted to do things and you want to help. And so here's your opportunity. And so that's why I immediately said yes to it. I felt like it was meant to be.
Mm.
So
And then they tell you that, okay, now, we're able to go. Come meet us in Egypt. Like, how did that happen?
yeah, it was the day of arrival was set.
Okay.
So we all knew that we had to meet in Egypt on a certain day, and we'd all meet at the hotel, and then we'd get on a bus and we'd drive through Egypt and the desert to get to the Rafah border.
Okay.
Uh, but everything coming back was kind of up in the air. As far as like tickets coming
Mm.
back, they like expect some potential changes.
Mm-hmm.
They said that they would help us out with the tickets, but they're like, don't we can't guarantee that anyone can come back at a certain date.
Mm.
So
And so, did you discuss all this with your wife?
kinda, you know,
Okay. So some things were left unsaid.
I think she knew what she had to.
Mm.
I didn't want to burden her with more just fear and unknowns ahead of time,
Mm-hmm.
trying to go with as much confidence as possible
Mm-hmm.
when on the inside I had no idea what to expect,
Mm.
but I had to at least put up that front. So because she's got 3 kids at home, 3 kids below 6, that's plenty to deal with. So yeah.
So now this time when you yourself didn't know if you were going to come back, did you ever feel this fear, like, I'm leaving my 3 children? Did you feel that way?
Yeah, it was like I was emotionally torn, like two halves of me. One half of me knew I wasn't coming back, and the other half of me knew that I was.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, with the timing, with the Ziyada trip planned and stuff, I just felt like I would just leave it in God's hands to decide. And I had this very weird. I've never like experienced this in my life before. I've never really had these like, I don't want to call it near death, but potential death experiences.
Mm-hmm.
I was at peace with both potential options, and I remember before leaving to the airport, my wife drove me to the airport, and right before I left, I'm sitting on the stairs and I'm taking pictures with each of my kids one at a time, and I take a picture with my wife,
Mm-hmm.
and the whole time going through my head, it's like, oh, well, these must be the pictures they're gonna put at my funeral or something.
Mm.
And
Wow.
like I'm choking up thinking about it now, but at the time, like I said, I was so at peace with the decision.
Mm.
Leading up to it, every salah, every dua, I would just ask Allah, like, give me what's best. Whether it's
Not
martyrdom,
bring
yeah,
you back, but
just
give
give
me
me
what's
what's best.
best.
Whether it's martyrdom or returning back safely, and I was gonna leave it in Allah's hands. And so
Mm. And were you ever worried about your career at this point and coming back to the hospital that you work for?
no, that never. So you go through something like this, everything like the few days before this, I started to like realize that there's so much in life that doesn't matter. When there's the potential of losing everything, you just realize that there are so many things we focus on that really don't mean much in the grand scheme of things.
Mm.
Like little things that bother you don't make a difference. I don't know, even my career at the time, it was like, well, I'll just figure it out when I come back.
Mm.
I did tell my partners right before I left that I was going, just so that they were aware, like, hey, if I die, you guys got to find a new partner. Like,
Wow. So
so
you made preparations
yeah,
that
I
you're
mean,
not
my
coming
will
back.
was ready,
Wow.
and I told my partners right before I left. My wife convinced me to like tell my family and everyone, like, in case you don't come back, you should have your final goodbyes and stuff
And did you do that?
through a voice note. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. I'm a surgeon. I'm bad with like emotions and stuff. That's
And do you feel that you were able to come to this place because, you see death so much in your workplace? Do you feel that that helped you in getting to where you are?
so. I don't see death a lot in my like practice. So I definitely see people that are severely injured and traumatized. I've definitely experienced death in my family over the years,
Mhm.
and I don't want to say it's made me callous to it, but it's been an experience that I'm not unfamiliar with. But I mean, regardless of all that, I think it was all just tranquility from Allah as a
Mm.
blessing.
Mm.
That I could go, and just ready to take on whatever the mission brought our way.
Now let's get to Egypt. So you're at Rafah. You saw a photo of you sitting with a group of doctors.
Yeah.
Tell me about that time. What happened once you got there and you met everyone, and you were preparing to go into Gaza.
Yeah, that picture that they posted, that was the first time I met everyone.
And
Some of the guys already knew each other from previous mission trips and
mhm,
whatnot, but that was the first time I met everyone. And I remember the VP of Rahma, his name is Adib, he was there. And he basically kind of gives us these forms of basically like medical release forms or whatever.
right.
And I didn't even read it. I was just like signed it and I gave it back to him.
Mm,
And the whole time I'm thinking to myself, it's like martyrdom is the greatest position. Like whatever's
wow.
best. I just signed it. And I give it. I don't even know what it said. It wasn't even long. It was just like a few lines. But I'm just like,
Mm,
I've made up my mind. Nothing's gonna change it. And so yeah. I mean, we met at the hotel. Everyone's getting to know each other and stuff. And plan is to leave the next morning, early in the morning, because there's a lot of
oh,
checkpoints.
so it was that close. You met everyone, and the plan was to
Yeah,
meet.
yeah, we
Wow.
landed at like 10, 11 p.m., had a quick dinner, and
So these
then,
were the people you were gonna
yeah,
travel with. You just met
yeah,
the same day.
yeah.
Okay.
And checkpoints all over Egypt.
Mm,
It was terrible. Every single checkpoint, it's like the same routine. Hand us all the passports, ask us all these
wow.
questions. We're like begging with them, like, please call ahead, let them know, let the next checkpoint know we're coming. You guys know we're headed in this direction.
Mm,
No, sorry, we can't help you. Like, be on your way. Yeah.
really?
One checkpoint held us for like 4.5 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, waiting for a call back from someone to call someone else.
So all of this was being handled by Egypt themselves
Yeah,
for you to get
yes.
in. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it was disappointing emotionally. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of politics and whatever I don't really understand or know, but it was hard emotionally to live through the experience of you wanting to go help.
Mm,
I don't want to say your people because we're all one, but like as a Arab, I'm going to help Arab, and the Arab in Egypt are like making it harder on us to go.
mm.
And you would think that like something would be set up in place to help us, or people would, at least the
So
army
it
or
was
people
just
at the checkpoints would,
roadblocks.
yeah, it was just constant roadblocks.
Wow.
They held us up so bad that when we finally got to the border is like, no, we're shut down for the night. Go
Wow.
back into
All
Egypt,
that.
come back. Yeah, that
Then
was.
you went back.
We went back. Yeah,
Wow.
we didn't go back all. I mean, you go
All the
back. It's
way.
like a 45-minute drive, hour drive.
Okay.
I find some random hotel to sleep in, and then you do it again the next day.
And this time, did anyone drop out of this
No,
mission?
no, no,
No?
no, no.
They're all
No, we're all
ready to go.
dedicated. Yeah, we're all dedicated. I
Okay.
mean, we made it this far to Egypt, and you're so close to the border.
And
But
so the next day, you tried again?
next day we tried again. So when we got to the border that night, we told the border patrol guy like we want to be the first people in. Like
Mm-hmm.
we're willing to get here as early as possible to get us in. And he's like, "All right, yeah, come at like 10, 11 a.m."
Wow.
We're like 10, 11 a.m. Like we want to help people. We want to get in. He's like, "Yeah,
Mm,
that's when we open." So
mm,
yeah, we get there. I mean, we hit a few checkpoints again on the way. Same problems as the first day. Nothing changed. And then you go through the Egypt side of the border. You go through the Palestinian side of the border, and then you just witness everything.
wow.
Yeah.
So now, as an American citizen, were you treated differently while at the border? Was your passage easier?
I don't. Well, they treated us well. I can't say anything bad about the way they treated us.
Mm,
So they put us in a nice room, and they gave us like coffee, tea, water, sweets, whatever while we were waiting.
mm,
So I mean, they just put you in a room for like an hour or two. You don't really know what's happening. You just give them your passports, and they're like, "All right, we'll
mm.
call you when things are ready."
And then you got in,
And then we
and
got in.
then the journey began.
Yeah, yeah. The real
So,
part of the journey started
how
then.
are you feeling at this time while you're waiting? You know you're getting in soon.
Yeah, I mean, you're anxious. You want to get in. You want to do something. You want to help. You're nervous. You're scared. You don't know what to expect.
Mm. Did you recite any du'as at this time?
Yeah, I mean, the whole time I got the mesbah in my hand.
Mm.
Someone had gifted me a mesbah. A family member, sorry, had gifted me a mesbah, and so the whole time I'm doing it. There's Quran constantly playing on the phone. Death brings you so close to God,
Mm.
in a way that no other experience can. It just reminds you how finite we are, how limited we are, how dependent we are.
Mm.
And I remember as soon as we crossed the border, I like made sure my shoes were knotted twice just in case,
Wow.
just in case, God forbid, something happens.
Mm.
Yeah.
And so now you've entered Gaza. What happens then?
The first thing I remember seeing when we entered Gaza was a bunch of kids, like a swarm of kids running across the street, through the street, running across, like going into a field. And I asked the driver, I'm like, what is this? Why are all these kids running?
Mm.
And he points in the distance, and you see like a humanitarian aid truck or a food truck, water,
Oh,
something like that.
really?
Yeah.
They were going to the food.
They were going to whatever the supplies were there at the time. And as a parent, the first thing you think about is like you see these little kids and you think about your own kids.
Mm.
And I started thinking to myself like I'm so lucky. My kids are so lucky. They have security. They have peace at
Mm.
home. You know, we have a faucet with unlimited water. We have food in
Mm.
the fridge in the closet. And you see these poor kids running to a truck.
Mm.
And I don't think they even knew what was on the truck. But I think when you're that desperate, when you don't have anything, you're just going to run to anything that can potentially help
Mm.
you. That was the very first thing I remember seeing when we crossed the border.
And then what happened?
And then we drove straight to the hospital.
Okay.
That's really the only. We spent our time in between European Gaza, and we spent a night at Nasser Hospital, but we never left the hospital. It was just going there, driving back and forth between the two, and that was it. And so driving to European, you're seeing the destruction. There's not too much shelling going down,
Mm-hmm.
but you could definitely see, like when you look off, that some buildings are every once in a while you'll see a random building, or
Mm-hmm.
you'll see. I remember we were driving and you see this big puff of black smoke, huge black cloud,
Wow.
and I guess the people are just so used to it and callous to it. They're like, oh yeah, well there's another airstrike you can see, and they're like talking about the smoke. They're like, you could tell this is a fresh hit. Like, by the way, this and this looks. It's like
Mm.
it's crazy that they've seen it that much that
They're just
they're just
numb to it.
they're numb to it.
Wow. And
And
you were probably horrified.
yeah,
This was your first time
yeah,
witnessing
yeah.
something.
Seeing the amount of people just flooded in the streets. There's people like it's hard for even cars to drive through the streets just because of how many people there are. There's not that many cars on the road.
Mm.
Gas is so expensive, not many people can afford it. And to be honest, no one's got money too. It's
And
not like the banks are open and stuff.
everyone's
So
on the road because of no shelter.
there's nowhere else to go. I mean,
Really?
the roads turn into like a makeshift marketplace. If anyone who's got some goods to sell or anything like that just kind of has like a little box in front of them, and
Mm.
they're trying to sell whatever. But it's just the amount of people that are packed into such a small area because everyone from the north has been pushed down south.
Mm.
So you just have all these people. Everyone's really homeless as everyone's living in tents. You drive and you just see tents made out of like medical grade plastic or some kind of like wrapping, what they wrap semi trucks in or something like that. People just kind of like pin it to a tree or somehow find a way to hang it on a wall, and you have families living in this stuff.
Mm.
And just you see homeless people around, but just the fact that it was like an entire city's worth of people was so shocking to see.
So what did you witness at the hospital? What were your days like?
Days were just in the OR basically all day.
Mm.
One of the things that was very hard, just from like a logistics and coordination standpoint, was how unreliable cell phone service was.
Mm.
I don't know who controls the cell phone service and if they knock it out at certain parts of the day or whatever, but trying to run a hospital with no cell phone service is near impossible. You're trying to coordinate with people like, hey, who should meet where, and if all you have is landlines, then you have people stuck to a phone, then they can't move.
Mm.
And if someone needs to move, if you decide like, hey, let's meet here at this time, and someone ran into an emergency or someone had to go do this, now you're stuck here and you're thinking, okay, do I go look for them? Do I wait here? Maybe they're a few minutes late. And so all these like little delays just stack up throughout the day, and it just creates these tremendous
A ripple
inefficiencies.
effect.
Yeah, big inefficiencies. And when you're in a wartime situation like this and you have a lot of people that need care, these inefficiencies, like, it could cause major problems. Tremendous effect, detriment to patient care.
Now,
Big time.
At this time, did they know that you were like an outsider? You're from the States? Could they pick up even though
Oh,
you
right
speak
away.
Arabic?
Right
Really?
away, yeah. I mean, my Arabic isn't that great. I can hold a conversation, but right away people could tell that even from my dialect, they knew that I was Lebanese,
Mm,
And so, plus, I mean, we look different. Like, I mean, it's bad to say, but just the fact that we had clean clothes on, you feel awkward walking around.
wow.
You just feel so out of place having a clean pair of clothes on, And granted, I was wearing two pairs of scrubs for 7 days straight,
Mm.
but I don't know. It just, yeah, you stick out like a sore thumb.
So, describe to me your role in the hospital. What were you doing and what were you seeing in terms of surgeries?
So we primarily spent our time just in the ORs. We would occasionally go down the ER to help whenever there was a mass casualty event. We would go down just to help with triage patients and getting people moving who they stratify the higher acuity stuff versus other stuff that can maybe wait a little bit longer, but
Mm-hmm.
mostly in the OR. And like I said, I didn't really know what to expect when I was there. I didn't know if I would just be taking over, if I would just be there to help. So I went there with just an open mind and willing to do whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
so every surgeon I met, I just told them, hey, I'm from the States. I'm an orthopedic trauma surgeon. Anything I can do to help, let me know.
Mm-hmm.
And so, because all the other hospitals in Gaza have been destroyed for the most part, so there are 15 or so hospitals
Yeah.
before the recent war that started. There were 15 functioning. Now
Mm-hmm.
there's only two functioning hospitals in all
Wow.
of Gaza. The
Really?
rest of them are either non-functioning or partially functioning, whatever that means, right? So
Wow.
they can't really provide high level care to patients. So because all these other hospitals are shut down, all the doctors are now displaced south.
Mm-hmm.
So at least with orthopedics, thankfully there were plenty of doctors there to be able to take care of patients.
Mm-hmm.
Now in Gaza is a little different because there's not really fellowships and stuff like there is here, right? So I found that, speaking with some of the more senior guys that have done mission trips in the past, they kind of taught me that my job in this trip is more to be in the assistive role.
Mm-hmm.
So helping the local team come up with plans.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to figure out, who needs surgery when, do we need to prioritize certain people. There was a fantastic team of surgeons from the UK. The group is called Ideals.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing, amazing people, and they have kind of like a logistics and team of their own. And so, thankfully, under their guidance, they were able to find a lot of patients who unfortunately had missed injuries,
Mm-hmm.
patients that have been dealing with infections on the floor that wasn't caught.
Wow.
I think people that the thing that people don't understand that live in the States or other well-developed countries is the hospital there isn't like what you see here. It's not what we know here.
Mm-hmm.
So first of all, the hospitals are relatively small. The biggest one I saw was 4 stories. I mean, that's nothing compared to, if it wasn't for the big sign in the front, you would drive by and miss it. So the hospital is very, very small. The hospital is absolutely overwhelmed. There is a massive, massive humanitarian crisis in Gaza. Just around European Gaza Hospital, there are 20,000 people living in and around the hospital on the hospital grounds. That's an absurd amount of people to be in one area. So think
Mm-hmm.
about the infection risk, the sanitation problems, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
When you have that many people in the hospital, it's not like every patient gets a room and every patient has a chart that says in the computer, oh, this patient's in this room.
Mm-hmm.
You literally have people lining the hallways.
Mm-hmm.
I have pictures where you have 4 patients stacked side by side in hospital beds in the hallways. When
Wow.
it gets to that level, you can't keep electronic records of where people are.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I said, it's not just numbers. Now you have people just in hallways, you have people in corners, you have entire families that have built a small living area for themselves, probably as big as this couch, just by
Mm-hmm.
dropping sheets from like the drop ceiling and
Mm-hmm.
creating a little bit of privacy for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have a hospital system that's depleted from resources, because 90 days now it's been an absolute strict blockade, they can barely get anything in.
Mm-hmm.
When you have depleted resources and overwhelmed with the number of patients, it's bound to happen that you're going to miss some things.
Mm-hmm.
A patient's chart could get lost or misplaced or something like that. If they don't have anyone to advocate for them, they're stuck.
Did you
So
feel like, coming from the West and having a very organized approach Was this very difficult for you to see
It
how
was
this was operating?
it's emotionally you're like dying inside because you just want structure. We're so used to
Mm,
structure and coordination and ease. But again, none of us have ever been in a mass casualty situation to this
mm,
extent. Like, yeah, sometimes in your career, there's like, oh, yeah, 5 car accidents came in all at once or something like that.
mm,
But it's not to the point where the hospital's overwhelmed. It's
mm,
not to the point where the hospital no longer has clean supplies.
mm.
It's,
Or people are living on the
yeah,
corridors.
yeah.
So, if this situation was so chaotic, did it feel like you guys were too many cooks in a kitchen, or were you needed?
At least from orthopedics, I think under the guidance of the senior guys, learning to just play my role, I think really helped
Mm-hmm.
me to not overwhelm or burden other people or get in the way and do stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I was available all the time. I would show up to the OR and I would just tell them, I'm here to help you. Now, if they wanted me to do a case, I would help them with the case. If they wanted me to be an assistant and hold a retractor, I would do that. If it was, taking care of certain patients, I just wanted to be there to help and do as much as I could.
And were your methods or what you've learned here and apply here different from what they were doing there?
Big time. And I think the main reason for that is just because they don't have access to the things that we do.
Mm-hmm.
I keep saying this, but we're so spoiled here. We have everything we want and need, and it still never feels like it's enough, and you're
Mm-hmm.
always looking for something better. Well, I can only speak for orthopedics because that's really the main surgeries that I saw. From an orthopedic standpoint, the level of healthcare in Gaza is something we would consider here to be unacceptable
Mm-hmm.
because they don't even have the proper orthopedic equipment to really take care of patients. So, for example, if someone has a badly broken leg, the standard of care here in the States is we put a rod inside the bone and it holds everything together. It's nice because everything is inside the body. You don't have anything sticking out, lower risk of infection. It's for the most part, people can walk on their leg and rehab and do all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because they don't have anything there, they have the lowest level quality and quantity of orthopedic implants. So they would just basically put pins in someone's leg and connect them to a bar, and that's the definitive treatment.
Wow.
Again, here that's unacceptable. We would never do something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But over there, that's all they
That's what
have.
they have.
But
Mm-hmm.
there's not companies or reps of companies bringing implants in. Orthopedics is a very implant dependent field,
Mm-hmm.
and so if no one is bringing you new stuff, you either have to reuse old stuff, which is
Mm-hmm.
not ideal, or you just run out of it. And it
Mm-hmm.
got to the point where they were running out of things.
Wow. And so, what was the worst case you saw while there?
The worst case I saw was the first case I saw. It was a 12-year-old girl. Um, she had a massive kind of shrapnel explosion injury to her thigh,
Mm-hmm.
and it was complicated by a really really severe infection. And when I first got there, that was the first case that I took care of. I was in the room where we were cleaning the dirty wounds and stuff, and the poor girl ended up losing her entire leg over this
Wow. You guys
because
had to amputate?
amputate, yeah,
Really?
up near the hip. And part of that obviously is due to the fact that there's just no implants there to take care of it.
Mm-hmm.
Even if I was here in the States and I had everything at my disposal, it would still require like a year at least of surgery to be able
Mm-hmm.
to take care of her leg. But over there, you just don't have that. Even things that we take for granted, just clean areas, sanitation, clean dressings to like take care of stuff. A lot of that stuff is missing there. Another devastating case I saw there was a gentleman had unfortunately lost both of his legs from an explosion, and he underwent amputations on both sides. But because of the lack of sanitary living spaces, clean gauze pads, basic antibiotics, he ended up with maggots in both of his legs. Yeah.
Really?
And again, this is stuff that we just find absolutely unacceptable here.
Mm.
But over there, they just don't have anything to work with.
Did it make you feel frustrated that we have all these things here? If they could just,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know.
That's the thing that I was talking earlier about, like the emotionally feeling mad at the Egyptians for not allowing us to get through the checkpoints and stuff. And again, it's all politics with whatever Egypt and Israel and America have coordinated. But the border, the Rafah border, is technically a border between Egypt and Palestine and Gaza, you
Mm.
know, but it's controlled by whoever. And I have a video of it. Normally, what the locals told us is before the war started, 300 semi trucks a day were able to come in to bring goods into Gaza.
Mm.
Now, since October 7th, it's been dropped down to like 60 or 70 trucks.
Wow.
So that's like a third of the amount of
When they
supplies
actually
we have.
need it more.
Yes. So when
Mm.
you're driving to the Rafah border, it's no exaggeration. It's miles of parked semi trucks. Everyone is just waiting to get into Gaza to deliver
Mm.
whatever it is they need to deliver.
And if it's food, it's probably rotted by now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm. And, tell me what your nights were like. Did you hear the strikes? Did you hear anything in the background?
Yeah. The nights were really bad. I don't think we got, a single good night's sleep when we were there. During the day, you probably hear bombing maybe like once an hour, once every couple hours you'll hear bombing go off. During the nighttime, it was constant bombing, continuous bombing all night long. Starts at like 9 or 10 o'clock at night, and the entire night you're waking up to bombs. And it's very loud. I don't know how far away they were bombing,
Mm.
or yeah, I don't know how far it was, but you could hear the bombs, you could feel the explosions. The room
Wow.
would shake, the door would rattle, and the frame, your bed frame would shake. It would wake you up at night. It was constant bombing all night long. You could hear the jets flying over. You hear like the vroom, and then it fades away, and then you hear the bombing go off after
And
that.
did you think you could be bombed?
Yeah, I mean, it's part of you thinks, don't worry, you're in a hospital, you're safe, nothing bad's gonna happen. But then you think to yourself like, well, yeah, they've bombed hospitals before. This isn't gonna be,
Yeah, there's
the
only two
first one.
left
There's
now.
only two left.
Mm.
There's always that element of human error. What if someone pushes the wrong button at the wrong time?
Mm.
Yeah, it was very loud. We couldn't sleep, and the locals would like make fun of us because we'd show up the next morning and we're yawning and we're tired,
Mm.
and they'd be like, "So, well, you guys couldn't sleep last night? The bombs keep you guys up?"
Wow.
Yeah, it was, and they would joke and oh yeah, we need the bombs. They put us to sleep at night. They help us sleep.
Mm.
But yeah, all
I've
night
gotten
long.
so used to that
Yes,
life.
yes. The
Mm.
drones too. I never really
The
thought
ones
about
that
this.
hum.
It is so
Yeah.
loud. It is so loud.
Mm.
It's like even when you're having a conversation with someone, it's like loud where you can hear it
Wow.
constantly, constantly drones all night long and bombing.
I'm sure that psychologically
Oh,
affects,
for sure.
especially children, like, hearing that
Yeah.
24/7.
And I mean, I was inside a hospital and I could hear and feel and all this stuff. I mean, I can't even imagine for the people that were sleeping outside.
Mm.
Again, the majority of people are just outside in plastic tents.
How many days were you there?
So it ended up being, because we lost the first day when we got stuck at the border. So it was like 6 days, 7 days of,
Mm.
of actually being in Gaza.
So night after night, you're not getting good night sleep. You're thinking maybe I won't make it out of here.
Yeah.
As the days come close to an end, well, for your journey there, what's going through your mind here? Do you feel like you had achieved something, or do you feel guilty that,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, definitely a little bit of both. It's a very bittersweet feeling leaving Gaza. Of course, you're excited to be able to get back to your family. Um, all the things we take for granted, your comfortable bed, the fact that there's no pillows, right? So you're just sleeping on your arm.
Mm.
There's no toilet paper in Gaza.
Mm.
We didn't shower for the week.
Wow.
Yeah.
For a
All,
whole week?
yeah.
Mm.
I mean, thankfully, my wife packed me some wet wipes, so I was just kind of wiping myself down.
Mm.
But I mean, it's a harsh reality. A majority of the people there shower in the bathroom. They use the bidet hose as a shower. It's a humiliating way to live.
So, you're taking these wipe down showers, you're hearing these bombs, you're not getting good sleep. Are you eating at all? And what was your diet like?
Not we didn't eat much. We all the whole group that went were all married men, so thankfully our wives thought ahead for us. So everyone kind of came with a pack of like Cliff bars or Power bars. And so you would just basically have a bar in the morning, and you wouldn't eat until nighttime, till we got back to the room. And there was a family. You feel guilty. I mean, I feel guilty about it now, but there was like a family that was like taking care of us while we were there. When we would come back to the room at night, they would make us fresh bread, and they would make us a small plate of hummus and a small plate of something else.
Mm.
And like subhanallah, the barakah that was like in that food. We were 6, 7 grown men eating, fresh bread and a little bit of hummus and another plate of stuff. But at the end of it, you just felt so full.
Mm.
Yeah. And that was it. That was a power bar in the morning and then a little meal at night and go to sleep.
Did you lose weight at all?
10 pounds. 10 pounds. When I came back, and I ended up jumping on the scale 10 pounds down.
So when they talk about, Gaza is going through this food crisis and people are hungry, you saw that firsthand,
Yeah.
that people were
Yeah.
barely scraping by.
Yeah.
Children were running to food trucks.
And like I said, I felt guilty that, first of all, I'm like hiding power bars just because like I need to eat and stuff, just to focus, to operate and do whatever. And then you come back at night, and a local family is taking care of you and providing you
Mm.
with food. And I'm lucky. I mean, that was just a 1 week trip that I had to suffer this inconvenience with, and now I'm back to everything we have here, where we're used to excess. And you go to Costco and you buy family size everything, and
Yeah.
over there they don't have anything.
And as you're getting ready to leave, how are you feeling at this time? Are you feeling excited? Are you feeling guilty?
Yeah,
What's going through your mind?
definitely a little bit of both. It was a very bittersweet feeling, leaving. You wanted to stay. You built camaraderie with the group. Well, I built camaraderie with the group of guys that I had met for the first time. We felt like a new family, and
Mm-hmm.
every day you're waking up. Like, the beauty about doing these mission trips is that everything you're doing for the sole purpose of helping others with nothing in return.
Mm.
It's I'm doing the same exact stuff that I do when I'm here at home, but when you go there, you're just like disconnected from bills and thinking about payments, and you're just so focused on helping other people for the sake of God. And it's a totally different feeling. Like I said, I could have done anything there, and I would have felt just so happy the fact that I was able to offer some type of assistance. But at the same time, you miss your life. We're used to all this stuff here. I miss my wife, I miss my kids, I miss my family. And so you want to go back, you want to stay, and you're torn. And um,
Did you
100.
feel guilty that you were leaving?
Yeah. I mean, you come in, you show up as this medical aid from the States, and you're suffering for such a short, limited time to what these people's lives are.
Mm.
Like I said, it was a little inconvenience that I didn't have as much food as I normally had for a week, or I was inconvenienced by the fact that I couldn't shower for a week.
Mm.
But I mean, even compared to the people that were living there, at least I had a mattress that I could sleep on.
Mm.
At least I had a shelter. God forbid it would rain or snow or something like. At least I was somewhere covered. At least
Was it cold or hot? What was the weather like?
I mean, for us here in Detroit, it wasn't that cold. It was like low 50s. I was walking around in a t-shirt.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, everyone's walking around in winter coats and stuff. And at
Mm-hmm.
night it gets cold and fog when you talk and you can see your breath and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, not having heat, and um, when people I want people to really understand the suffering that's happening, and I want you to imagine yourself and your family going through what these people are going through.
Mm.
The way that the Israeli army clears out certain areas is that they'll fly over a zone. They've created a map where they've sectioned off Gaza to different zones.
Mm.
They'll fly over a zone and drop pamphlets, and they'll also, over the airways, over the cell phone towers and stuff, they'll send out Amber Alerts
Mm.
saying zones 1, 2, and 3 exit by tonight. So and so is happening.
Mm.
So you have to think. I want you to close your eyes and imagine you have a family. I have a family. I have a wife and 3 kids. I have to make a decision. Do I pack up and leave with my family, leave basically with one suitcase. Because remember, there's no cars, no gasoline, no cars. You can't take anything
Oh,
with you, just what you can drag. Do I pick up my family and go with just the shirts on our back? Or do I stay and risk it? Do I stay and risk being a target? These are the terrible decisions that Palestinians have to live with every single day for the past 100, even before, even, I don't even want to say 100 days, even before the 100 days. The airstrikes were happening, the sieges happening, all this stuff.
it didn't
The
start on
blockade.
October
Yeah, it didn't
7th.
start on October 7th.
Mm.
It escalated dramatically. But this is the life of the people of Gaza for the past 50, 60, 70 years.
Mm.
So when you see people living in tents, these are people that were productive members of society, that had lives, that had jobs, that had social interactions with people, friends, families, and everyone's now been degraded to a tent. To a tent. Maybe they have blankets. Who knows if they were able to leave with a blanket?
Mm.
They don't know when their next meal is. They don't know. They don't know if they're going to be able to give their kids water when they're thirsty. They don't have access to clean water to shower. Even when you walk through the tent cities, let's say everyone decides to be organized, which they were, and they decide to take all of the trash and disposals and put them in one area. After a while, that area starts to overwhelm the entire tent city.
Mm.
So sanitation is now a major problem. You don't have garbage disposals taking things out. It's very degrading and unfortunate and sad how the Palestinian people have been pushed into this position.
As you got ready to leave, did you tell your family members that you're safe and that you're coming back, or they had no idea?
So cell phone service was spotty,
Mm-hmm.
and so basically at nighttime when I would get back to the office, they basically cleared out an office in the hospital for us to sleep in.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was a little Wi-Fi area close to there. So every night, basically, I would text them, "Hey, I'm fine."
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, most days they would go that 12-hour, 24-hour stretch, not hearing anything from me.
Yeah.
And news is coming out that okay, now strikes are getting closer to Nusrat Hospital, or they hit civilians 100 yards away from the hospital now. And so
Mm-hmm.
yeah, now everyone's wondering, well, is he there? Which hospital is he at? Where is he staying? So
Mm-hmm.
um, I knew I was fine. I couldn't tell anyone else though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were probably worried sick
Oh
for
yeah,
you.
yeah.
And then describe to me the moment that you got back. How did you feel?
I didn't feel like at ease until I landed in the States.
Mm.
Even so, you fly
Interesting.
out of Egypt, you land in Frankfurt, and then from Frankfurt to Detroit. I didn't feel, I don't want to say like safe, but like it just didn't feel like home till I actually landed back in Detroit. And you're mixed emotions. It's like your heart is still in Gaza with all the people that are suffering. Um,
Mm.
but like I said, you have kids here. You can't be sad all the time. You want to have fun with your kids. You want to see your kids happy.
Mm.
You don't want to see your kids suffer at all as to compared to what you just saw back there. And you want to get back to work at the same time. You still want to decompress and recover and kind of really
Mm.
process everything
Because
you
that
went
was a
through.
lot. Like
Yeah,
you went through, and
yeah,
then you're going back to work.
yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, mixed emotions, and my wife will tell you I'm very bad with emotions. I don't really know how to deal with them, so I just
Mm.
yeah.
Did you ever feel? You said that you had gone and seen some things that really stuck with you and choked you up. Do those things keep you up at night today?
Definitely that first girl that I took care of, I will never forget her. Her name was Noor, and she made me cry. This poor girl has her whole life ahead of her. She didn't do anything wrong to anyone. She's not involved in any military. She's not involved in any resistance. This poor girl was just a victim of circumstance, and she suffered, and she's just one out of the however many thousands of people that have either been killed or permanently disabled from what's happening. And these are the civilians that we're talking about. Yeah, I think about her all the time. I think
Mm.
about her all the time, and I was so close to her, and I wanted to help her, but I couldn't. Again, because of the blockade, because of things not being able to get in. And so, yeah, like it tears me apart that I was so close to try to do something, and I couldn't.
You know, a lot of people here called you and your team a hero for making it out there, leaving these comforts of your life. Do you feel like you achieved something and that you are a hero?
Definitely not a hero. I mean, the heroes are the doctors that are currently in Gaza. All the doctors in Gaza right now are working for free. Nobody's making money.
Mm.
The Ministry of Health does not have money to be paying people. Everybody is working on a volunteer basis. Like I said, I went there for this short little 7 day trip to do whatever little bit I could to offer a helping hand in however way possible. But the real heroes are the people that are on the ground in Gaza, living this day to day. I mean, there's people still going to work despite this. I met one of the scrub techs in surgery. He's a gentleman my age. He lost his wife and his 2 kids. He's still coming to work every day, trying to help, his people, his community as best he can. I mean, these are the heroes. These are the people that come to work with a smile on their face, willing and ready to help. They've given everything that they have, all right? There's nothing left, but they still come and they give and they provide and they take care of others. These are the real heroes. We were just there as, a short little trip. We were nothing.
What did you bring back with you from Gaza?
I brought back a new commitment to God. I said, having these near death kind of exposures, experiences really remind you what's important. So I don't say this jokingly or a soundbite. I feel like the people of Gaza gave me more than I could ever give them. They showed me resilience. They showed me patience. I guess they brought to light all of the issues that, I guess they showed me how spoiled we are, like I said.
Mm.
And the fact that they're living with so little and they're still trying to carry on their lives. They're still smiling. They're still doing everything that they can to try to be as normal as possible. Kids have been out of school for however long, and
Mm.
um, yeah, they gave me more than I could ever give them.
Thank you, Adam. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us today. That's it for the hard truths, and I'll see you next time.